Why are millions of men abandoning dating entirely? And before you think this is just another rant about modern relationships, I need you to understand something crucial. What I'm about to reveal will completely change how you see the dating landscape. But here's the thing, if you miss even one piece of what I'm sharing today, you'll never understand why this massive shift is happening right under our noses. The statistics I'm about to show you are shocking, but the real story isn't in the numbers. It's in what's driving them. And that's something most people completely miss. Let me start with what everyone can see on the surface. Dating app usage among men has dropped by 37% in the last 2 years. But here's what's really happening behind those numbers. And this is where it gets interesting. The men who are walking away aren't who you think they are. I'm talking about successful, emotionally intelligent, financially stable men. The exact type that everyone claims to want. But there's a deeper reason they're leaving, and it connects to a psychological principle that explains everything about modern relationships. But before I reveal that principle, you need to understand the 3-stage process that's creating this exodus, because each stage builds on the last, and if you don't grasp all 3, you'll miss why this trend is accelerating so rapidly. Stage 1 is what I call the mathematics of futility. On dating apps, the average man gets 1 match per 100 swipes. Of those matches, 1 in 10 responds. Of those conversations, 1 in 20 leads to a date. That's a success rate of 0.05%. Now imagine playing any game with those odds. How long would you keep playing? But here's what makes this even worse, and this connects directly to stage 2. Stage 2 is the moving target phenomenon. Men describe feeling like they're constantly being tested against standards that change without warning. One day they're told to be vulnerable and emotionally available. The next day, they're criticized for being too needy. You were taught that consistency and genuine interest would be valued, but now showing up authentically feels like handing someone ammunition. The very qualities that should make you attractive somehow become reasons why you're not exciting enough. But this is where most people stop analyzing. They see the low success rates and the mixed messages and think that's the whole story. It's not. There's a 3rd stage that explains why men aren't just struggling. They're actively choosing to leave. Stage 3 is what I call the opportunity cost revelation. These men started calculating what else they could accomplish with the time and energy they were investing in dating, and they discovered something that changes everything. While spending months navigating dating apps and going on dates that lead nowhere, they could be building businesses, developing skills, improving their health, or deepening meaningful friendships. And here's the kicker. Those alternative investments actually provide returns. This creates a fundamental shift in mindset. It's not that dating became harder, it's that everything else became more rewarding by comparison. But there's something even more significant happening here. And this is the part that will surprise you. The psychological principle I mentioned earlier is called learned helplessness. When someone repeatedly experiences situations where their efforts don't influence the outcome, they eventually stop trying altogether, even when conditions change. But here's the twist that nobody talks about. Many of these men aren't actually helpless. They're making a rational choice based on risk-reward analysis. And that's what makes this situation so different from previous generations. Previous generations of men who struggled with dating typically responded by trying harder, changing their approach, or seeking advice. This generation is responding by opting out entirely. They're not getting bitter or angry, they're getting strategic. They're choosing hobbies over dating apps, building businesses instead of chasing relationships, focusing on fitness, travel, and personal growth rather than navigating what feels like a rigged game. And here's what's really telling. Most report being happier than they've been in years. This creates a paradox that's reshaping the entire dating market. The men that many women say they want, stable, mature, financially responsible, are removing themselves from the dating pool. Not because they can't compete, but because they choose not to. But here's where this gets really interesting. And this connects to something much bigger than dating. This trend is part of a broader cultural shift toward what economists call the attention economy. People are becoming more selective about where they invest their mental and emotional energy. In the attention economy, your focus becomes your most valuable resource. And these men have calculated that modern dating provides negative returns on that investment. The constant rejection, mixed signals, and emotional labor required simply don't justify the potential outcomes. Now, this might sound harsh, but there's actually a massive opportunity hidden in this trend. While millions of men are walking away from traditional dating, they're not walking away from the desire for connection. They're walking away from systems that make connection unnecessarily difficult. This creates space for a completely different approach. Instead of playing the games that everyone else is caught up in, there's room for authentic connection with people who are tired of the performance. But here's what you need to understand about seizing this opportunity. It requires abandoning almost everything you've been told about modern dating. The strategies that worked even 5 years ago are not just ineffective now, they're counterproductive. The solution isn't about learning better pickup lines or optimizing your dating profile. It's about understanding that the entire framework has shifted. We're moving from a dating culture based on scarcity and competition to one that will be based on authenticity and mutual value creation. The men who are walking away today will be the first to recognize when something better emerges. They're not permanently out of the game. They're waiting for a game worth playing. And here's the most important part. This shift is accelerating. What started as a few men opting out has become a movement. The dating landscape of the next 5 years will look completely different from today. The question isn't whether this trend will continue. The question is whether you'll recognize the opportunity it creates. Because while everyone else is fighting over a shrinking pool using broken strategies, there's space to build something entirely new. The men walking away aren't the problem. They're the canaries in the coal mine, signaling that the current system is unsustainable. And the smart money is on whatever emerges to replace it. So yes, men are walking away from modern dating, but they're not walking away from love, connection, or partnership. They're walking away from a system that forgot what those things actually require. And until something better takes its place, the exodus will continue. The real question is, will you be ready for what comes next?